HarlequinAudio is proud to bring you Cadaver and Queen by Alisa Kwitney. Performed by Saskia Maarleveld. Prologue. The room slowly came into focus. White tiled walls, a white enamel bowl on a small table covered by a sterile white cotton cloth and set with gleaming steel and brass surgical instruments. The only splash of color was a bottle of scarlet blood hanging upside down from a hook. A nurse in a starched white cap checked the bottle's rubber tubing and then walked away, her ankle-length skirts rustling as she passed. Where was he? Victor tried to rouse himself, but he still felt thick-headed and vague, and even though his eyes were open, he was utterly disoriented. Why was he lying flat on his back, almost naked, in this white room? There was nothing but a thin sheet covering him below the waist. After a moment, he realized that the room was an operating theater, designed with a high ceiling, low-hanging lights, and tiered seats, so that students could observe surgeons at work without getting in their way. His mouth felt dry, and there was a metallic taste in the back of his throat. Copper or blood? Something bad had happened to him, but what? His mind flashed on disjointed images, a bedraggled dolly mop, pale cheeks rouged and necks striped with dirt, singing off-key as she swigged from a bottle of cheap gin, an old woman's swollen and arthritic hand sparkling with jeweled rings as she stroked a Pomeranian lapdog. None of it made any sense, yet his skin prickled with unease. And cold. The room was chilly, and his bare chest was pebbled with gooseflesh. There was a squeak of wheels behind him, accompanied by the murmuring of male voices from above. "By Jove," one said, "she's a looker." The nurse must have returned, wheeling in some more equipment. He recognized the approving voices as belonging to his fellow medical students, who must be watching from the gallery, just out of his line of sight. They must be here to watch my surgery. He felt lightheaded. For a vertiginous moment, the room seemed to tilt and spin around him. He heard a woman's light footsteps behind him, then smelled the vinegar odor of Lister's disinfectant. Help me. He tried to raise his hand, but nothing happened. Alarm surged through him as he tried again. What was wrong with his arms? Lying prone, he couldn't see his right arm, but out of the corner of his eye he caught a glimpse of his left, which had been positioned at an angle away from his body and secured with a restraint. He didn't feel any pain in either limb, though. He didn't feel anything at all. An instant later, he realized that he couldn't feel his legs either. He could not turn his head. He tried to call out, but no sound came from his mouth. His heart set up a wild gallop, but no other part of him moved. His brain filled with the animal impulse to search for an escape route, but his gaze remained fixed on the same section of the white room. I can't move my eyes. His mind flashed to his teachings. Cranial nerves 3, 4, and 6, oculomotor, trochlear, and abducens, all completely paralyzed. He was as immobile as a corpse. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Dr. Grimbold, the head of surgery and Victor's advisor, nodded to the students in the gallery as he entered the room. As usual, he had waxed the tips of his mustache so they curled up, but his thin mouth was compressed into a tight line. Victor's pulse slowed and steadied. If he needed surgery, there was no one better than Grimbold in England, possibly in the world. But what sort of operation did he require? Any cervical injury that left him unable to move his head and neck should also affect his diaphragm. But he was still breathing on his own. So there was reason to hope. He didn't have a spinal cord injury. He might not be permanently damaged. Could he have ingested some sort of poison? Curare was sometimes used as an anesthetic, and it could cause temporary paralysis. He racked his brain, trying to remember if he had been handling curare, but the last thing he could recall was studying in the library. Henry had tried to tempt him to go back to their room for whiskey, saying, "What's the use of swatting? You know you'll end up with top marks, you always do. Bloody prize pupil."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?